Hey there viewers, my name's Torinski and welcome back to another Sunday stream. Today we're going to be jumping right back into the usual win with every species, trying to continue on in the dream run here, doing our very best, and maybe today will be the day that we finally get out of our little bit of a Draconian rut and get on with trying to win with the rest of the species in the game here. But only the day will tell, and so let's just jump right into it here as Dream the Draconian. So, where we were leaving off last time here, there was a little bit of discussion about how weak we were looking right now, to be totally blunt about it. And that was kind of further compounded when during this week I had a really nice suggestion passed on by Alexander on YouTube, who was mentioning my skill training just looking a little questionable by the time we got to the mid floors of Lair. And would you look at it, if we take a peek at this run skill training, we see that even though we're at Lair 5, we've completely neglected any defensive skills once again here. And so, maybe a decent idea to try and pivot a little bit, not go quite as much of this full glass cannon approach that I seem to be addicted to be running here, and maybe try and be a little more well-rounded and maybe survive just a little longer this time around. As for what we want to switch around, I do want invocations still training up. We want Divine Exegist online by the time that we might need to be throwing that out there in order to save our own skin. Same with Longblades is so close now to its 14 that I feel like I may as well leave that on or running for the time being. And so it might be the magic skills that take a little bit of a break from just pushing fully into it. Just because, yeah, we have not quite full power for sure, especially LRD not even close, because that has a whole lot of scaling throughout the rest of the run. But everything is still fully castable, so even that should be fairly decent for now, even though we of course, will have more spell casting in our future here. And on that side of things, I'm thinking, yeah, we might switch into conjurations a little bit when we maybe get our defensive skills in a better place. Just because we did find a decent number of spells in that school, including Spellforge Servitor and Orb of Destruction, so definitely could be a decent shot to run. I guess Iron Shot alone makes it worth it to train some conjurations regardless, so that is definitely on the menu for the future, but to keep focused before I completely forget to do what we came here to do, let's get some training going, because fighting at level 0, I don't know how I managed to convince myself last week that that was a good idea for this stage in the game. We will turn that on and set a cap, I guess, so we set a cap for 8. We'll do that for now, even just so that we get a little bit of a notification when it hits that level. That's always a nice reminder of what's going on this skill screen behind the curtain here. And then otherwise, shields, we could start training up, but we don't have anything immediately or an immediate tangible benefit, I should say, for training that up. Dodging, however, we could throw some into and try and avoid taking some of the hits, seeing as how without being able to wear armor, we're always going to be struggling a little bit on the AC front of things. So let's just pop dodging on for at least a little bit here. And that one, I'll set a target around 8, even though we may end up switching it off before we get to that point. We'll just have to see how the run goes. The last couple orders of business here are to double check our spells. Actually, I guess we already did this, so we just have the 4 basic spells from the handbook. That makes it pretty straightforward in that regard. And then otherwise, our dungeon overview here. We had Swamp and Spider, both of which shouldn't be too bad, seeing as how we have innate resist poison, which is really nice, seeing as that a couple of our previous runs, not necessarily on Draconian, but in general in this series, we've definitely been struggling to find poison resistance in time for grabbing those runes, so that might be nice. Alrighty, I'll probably at least peek in to Lair 6 here, see what kind of end vault we're dealing with. but it might be a good idea afterwards to head maybe back out to the dungeon. I wouldn't want to run into an unseen horror at the moment, but we could probably make do, and the more important thing for that is I potentially want slightly weaker enemies to train up our defensive skills on. Might even be nice. Did we find the entrance? Oh, we have found the entrance to Orc. So Orc 1 might actually be the place to visit if Layer 6 is looking at all frightening, because we are on the edge here in terms of our ability to stay alive due to our defensive trainings thus far. But last thing to do inventory-wise is we do have one identified ring here. That's no good. Let's remedy that problem right away. Ring of positive energy. Nice. I could definitely use a little bit of positive energy to get us started on today's return to the run, I guess, instead of today's run. And then I can never decide if I want to keep this Amulet of Vitality with the nice little boost to our health and regen. I guess maybe that's why my health didn't look so bad to me, because we're actually 15 health below that on our own. So that's how we got away with not quite training as much fighting as we should have, maybe. Can't remember exactly when we got the Amulet of Vitality. But the thing that I wanted, or brought that up to mention, is that this artifact amulet here is quite nice. Even just to offset some of our negative strength attributes, because we have been using our sword a decent amount. Having Leech from, I think, floor 6 of the dungeon onwards kind of does that to a run. But alas, much like the other things, I think we'll see how it goes, at least for the start here. Dip our toes into the water and see how she goes. Okay, double check that we hadn't explored any of the downstairs. Doesn't look like it, so this is as good as any to peek down. And let's take a look. Feel an oppressive heat around you, so it's a volcano floor at the very least. Also looking wide open to start off here, which I don't love. But okay, do I want to use my only magic mapping to find a volcano? I mean, that amulet we were just looking at does have resist fire, so that's a nice benefit to potentially going there. What I should do is go upstairs, grab this ring of fire right back up, because I might want the double pips of RF. And let's do it. Since we have the resistances for it. Oh, it's kind of a shame I used my magic mapping now that I take a closer look, because it's pretty dang close. Probably would have just gotten the nearby message. Could have settled it at that, but oh well. It's just how she plays out, and let's get on over there. Hopefully we don't run into anything too scary on the journey. Where's everything binded to here? Let's start with Stone Arrow. Couple swings of ye old Leech here. Maybe not. Let's switch to a Stone Arrow, and I guess we're bringing this Drake upstairs. Already worrying just a little bit. I think last week we were pretty much getting chips to our health in each and every fight we ran into, but it's easy to do that kind of risky playstyle when you've been piloting the run for a few hours and you kind of have a decent idea of how much of a beating you can take before you should start to become concerned. But for the first hour or so here, let's maybe take it easy. Don't want to make any really regrettable mistakes just because we're feeling a little bit hasty or a little bit too comfortable with ourselves. Oh, okay, I'd like... sneak attack would have been nice, but that's alright. We'll just pull these buddies back to the corridor. Should have maybe put on my fire resistance just to fight them, it turns out, but that's okay. And we're in the rarest of times here. I, again, have remembered before going into one of these time portals that I need to drop stuff. Don't want to be struggling too much deciding on which loot we are able to bring out. It's much nicer when you can just grab everything in one huge haul here. Scrolls of Amnesia, Chant Armor, I think all that can sit for the time being. Floor shots, 4 slots should be good. for the time being. We can always get rid of an identify scroll just by reading that and using it somewhere, so that's pretty straightforward at the very least. And then, we'll lose willpower temporarily for that fire resistance, and we'll also change out our necklaces. So it's a little bit lower on health, but have that extra pip of RF. We have invocable fly too. What's the chances on that? 28%? That's not horrible. Let's take that. Okie dokie. One of the other more subtle reasons why I want to be a little more careful at the start of the run here is simply because we are currently running the Boots of Rampaging. I still have not quite gotten used to the effect of wearing those boots, and I quite often find myself accidentally double stepping towards somebody who probably is better left at a distance or the like. So try and be cognizant of the fact that we're wearing those boots. Also nice to see that with 2 pips of RF, the explosion of the entire little volcano area doesn't hurt too badly. Might have gone a bit lucky with that though. We at least didn't have to stand in the cloud for too many turns. Okay, there we go. That lava snake saw us a little bit earlier than usual, but that is okay. Perfect. Stand on this exit, replenish sweet, sweet mana. And into the center we go. You know what? Let's actually wait a second. Perfect. Saw the message, the air gets thick with the scent of sulfur. Decided it was probably a better idea to hold off just a moment. Wait and see. Okay. Yes, in terms of seeing here, should maybe peek in through the windows? Oh, belched forth lava. It's never good, but okie dokie, inwards we go. Nothing too scary, please. I wish I knew this volcano vault a little better here, because I'm not 100% sure. Best way to go about this. I guess one thing is probably that I shouldn't be swinging with Wild Abandon. We don't know how long this fight's going to go on for, and it wouldn't be great to find ourselves enraged too early on in something that is going to become a prolonged conflict. So let's try to avoid that if possible here. Turns out it would have been fine, but you never know. Ooh, crabby boy, hey? I think we should be fine against the crab with double RF. Maybe, I'm hoping. This tiny little fire crab that I always imagine being giant in my head. It's actually just legitimately crab-sized. Okay, not too shabby in terms of enemies so far. This is all stuff that I feel fairly comfortable dealing with. That can all change here. Any second now. Any second now. There we go. How scary are you at this stage in the game? Bolt of Magma normally would be. That's... I know 1 pip of resistance is half damage. 2 pips... Is that already up to like 2/3 resistance or something like that? Because if so, then this can only deal 15 damage. That's nice and easy math that we can do on the spot here. Regardless, oh, I cannot LRD the molten ones. I guess that kind of makes sense. Not exactly solid rock, are they? Regardless, let's do some stone arrow shenanigans. There we go, absolutely destroy. We even get a gift from Sif Muna here. Could be a fantastic spellbook, could be exactly what we wanted. Oh, I guess it says it right there. Komo's Guide on Congealing Rocks. What could we learn from that? Hailstorm, summon Ice Beast statue form, and shatter. Ooh. Ooh, don't mind if I do. Especially statue form is something I desperately want. Give us some of the much needed AC that we're lacking due to not being able to wear armor. That's already down to 12%, so I think I'm just going to snap learn that spell on the spot here. Shatter is probably a long, long way off, but it is possible. In a 3-rune game, it usually getting a level 9 spell online, I should say, usually involves neglecting other necessary skills, usually those being the defensive ones, I guess. But we'll see where the run takes us there. Check out these gloves, and it's a +1 pair of gloves of strength, so that's pretty nice. Gives us another boost to our strength score here. We'll start slashing pretty hefty blows with our sword here. But, ooh, another set of gloves in this room as well. How fun. Okay, just keep sending stone arrows. Hopefully one of these ones takes it out. There we go. Perfect. Ooh, and a poisonous barb forms on the end of your tail. What? Is that an extra auxiliary attack? I feel like that might be. I'll maybe have to try and keep a lookout in the chat log and see if we're getting extra hits from that or something to that extent. Okie dokie, another set of gloves, and this one is a set of gloves of dexterity, so not quite as useful for this run. Very much centered on the strength and intelligence attributes. Almost blended intelligence and attributes into a bastardized version of the two there, but okie dokie, let's keep exploring here. Through the fires and the flames, no problems. It's nice to have a volcano that is relatively stressless, because I've definitely had quite a few of these that ended up being an absolute nightmare, if not straight up run ender on the spot. Okay, guess that's that. Back out we go, back into the real dungeon here. Feeling satisfied and happy with that, for sure. Take off the Ring of Fire immediately, and we can actually even drop that, because that was the plan originally. As for switching back necklaces, don't want to. Spirit does give us technically more health in a way, more than 15 health that is, but at the cost of reducing our ability to cast spells once we get to a more panicked stage of the fight. So it's definitely an interesting trade-off. I guess it almost is built for that, in the sense that the extra strength gained from it should help us be more straightforward hack and slash hero here. That's the Ice Draven. Really mixing up the middle consonants and words today for whatever reason. Nice dragon cave. There we go. One of our first couple runs had this layer 6 format here. Okay, let's go for it. The torpor snail is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Should also be okay. I'm going to take a quick peek through here looking for you tail slap the torpor snail. Okay, so our barbed tail, I think, does give us a bit of a poison attack. I guess there it is right there. We see the poison tick on the snail. I probably saw it on the earlier one and just didn't notice it whatsoever. But, okay, we are slowed, but apparently that's not quite enough to make us lose one-on-one with some of these buddies. Moving slowly, ready to go into absolute panic mode if that becomes necessary here. This corner is really nice for hiding from the torpor snails at the very least. Try and get out of sight range long enough to finish off the rest of the buddies here. Yes, the rest of the snail's friends, as it were. There we go. A lot of this little subdivision cleared out. Oh gosh, there's a tiny fly flying around me. I can tell that we're into the throes of summer here, because we're finally getting some of the tiny little fruit flies going around, sneaking into the house at every opportunity here. But onwards we go. Whole lot of hornets. A little bit scary. I always forget what these buddies do. Stings up to that, and causes paralysis and slowing if any damage is dealt. So I think that would seem to imply that that stuff, it happens regardless of immunity to poison. But I always thought that the poison was the thing dealing the effect, I guess. So I guess we'll just have to cross our fingers, hope for the best. And it does seem that we got some fortune on our side there, at the very least. So we continue. I don't know how this run got to this point with me being completely irresponsible with my defensive skill training. Must have gotten very lucky, not had to face too many truly difficult encounters. At least relative to some of the previous runs, because I feel like we've had some really strong runs that struggled profusely, and here we are just fooling around. Fighting 2 death yaks at once, like a complete idiot, and it goes totally fine. Like, I get that Leech is amazing, and here at the end of the fight we're starting to find ourselves in a bit of a scarier position. But I guess that kind of proves the point. Just the fact that how did our luck hold up through the first half of that fight before we killed the initial death yak there. Oh no, this is really bad. How long were we asleep for? Not too long. It's looking like 1 turn, please. Okay, 2 turns, looks like. Not great, but hey, could have been a whole lot worse for sure as well. I guess sometimes we're getting really nice dodges here, and when we get an attack in, as well as potentially 1 or more riposts, we probably are healing a lot of health using Leech here. So I guess that makes a little bit of sense in its own right. Scary thing now is we know that all of these stairs are right next to each other. You know what? I think I can afford. Let's head to this stairway, pop down, try and just attract a sheep. I'd like 2 of them. Okay, I can waste 1 turn. Perfect. Then head upstairs. Alrighty, let's take another peek here. No Hydra. So I don't know where that buddy is at the moment. And that makes me scared. So I think we return to the initial egress stairway of the floor and try and bait out just a couple of baddies here. There we go. And Petrify has a 38% chance to hit, so we may as well give it a couple of tries here. No such luck. Upstairs we go. And now we are able to pillar dance a bit if need be. And I think I will go for another Petrify. Dang, that's embarrassing. Just not hitting, eh? Statue form, 12% chance. It's decent odds. I guess better, a lot better than our chances of petrifying the Hydra, and the extra AC from statue form is a huge advantage against the 7-headed Hydra here. So let's try it out. We lose our gloves of strength, boots of rampaging, neither of which is a hallmark of our run. Oh crap, we are cutting heads off the Hydra though. I forgot that our sword is slightly too large, so we've now turned this situation into a much scarier one. Oh, brilliant move, me. Absolute genius. Okay, Wand of Acid, how does that do for us? That's pretty solid. And then I think I'll just LRD a rock behind you. Cool. That's a much better strategy moving forward here. Let's not try and be so fancy, i.e. stupid, about the whole arrangement, shall we? And come on, notice me. There we go. Ideally, we can just fight you buddies on these stairs, not have to worry too much about drawing hordes, or if we do, we have the option to just immediately step back. In that kind of spirit, I am heading to the stairs now while we're slowed, just in time for the hordes to begin to descend upon us. Jeez Louise. Back to our double close stare and see what we can deal with here. Okay with falling asleep. As long as there isn't a Hydra on screen, Hydra can't walk up to me in a split second while we're asleep and destroy us. One dream sheep. Let's take one step back and then LRD. There we go. It's much better. Gotta pay attention to when we're able to blow up, especially these harder rock walls. Cause a lot of mayhem and destruction upon our foes, which is exactly what we're hoping for in this game, for sure. Oh geez. Never like raging at the start of a new exploration zone here, but not too bad. Just a couple turns of being slowed in front of enemies, and now we're looking all right on our own here. Use a mix of might and magic in order to combat these vile beasts. Perfect. A little bit of poison slipping through our resistance there. That is all well and fine. We're looking okay. We pick up an air magic book. I believe that's the starting air book, or air elementalist book, I should say. So probably not something we're fully interested in running, but we can definitely think about it in the future if things, for whatever reason, take a dire shift or a change. I mean, airstrike is really a solid spell, if just because it's fully smite targeted, so you don't have to worry at all about lines of sights. Especially with being an Earth Elementalist, a lot of our spells are a little bit shorter range, so we often deal with issues with targeting in general. So could be nice, but in general I think that we have picked up sufficiently good spells in schools that we are already leaning towards to make it through the run. All things turning out ideal here. But of course, our guard can never be totally let down. Let's be cautious and careful of what the future holds here. Try and blow up all these Nethack buddies. Get enough mana back just in time to strike them once more. This is a dumb fight that I should not take, but I'm going to. Because I'm stupid and I believe in Dream here. I guess if things went too poorly early enough there, we have at the very least enough health for us to run away here. With this kind of pillared setup, it's easy to split enemies up and get it so that even if a bunch are adjacent to you, you can take a few steps and hopefully just have one that can only hit you if they happen to random energy that turn. Something that is not too risky, but alas, still probably shouldn't do it. I'd be saying a very different set of things if we hadn't been quite so lucky in how the events unfolded there. Holy, Ignition and Tornado added to our library. We're getting all of the killer spells here. I'm guessing that must have been... Oh, the Book of Tempest. I was going to think one of the, like, books of Power. I think Power has more conjuration stuff, but there is one that has a few of the level 9 spells. Anywho, holy cow. I guess we may as well take a peek there. We're not an Ice Dragon this time. Our first few Draconian attempts had quite a few of those scale changes. But with the ability to train up fire a bit, Ignition is such a tempting choice. On any run that has non-terrible fire aptitudes, this spell is absolutely incredible for dealing with hordes of enemies. So maybe something we'll, again, keep an eye out for the future here. We don't have to worry too much immediately. That's a little bit scary. Acid Dragon popping out right as we're trying to run away in our rage. But yeah, not something we need to worry about right away. We're not going to be casting any level 8 spells in the immediate future, especially considering the fact that we can only cast it a few times at the current level of mana points. But definitely, always happy to see Ignition show up on a run, and always have to at least give it a bit of a thought. Okay, Been enraged again. Dang it, I should have not taken the single step back. But unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, we weren't punished too hard for trying to wade through the water while exceptionally angry here. Jeez Louise, a couple of dragons popping up out of nowhere. Oh me oh my. Fire dragon isn't horrible. We have, right, a pip of RF. We don't have the ring anymore, but we at least have a pip of RF at all times thanks to our amulet. And we do have the poison resistance against the dang old swamp dragon here. So I guess not the end of the world, but I would like to run away just enough here in order to get some walls around us, because our character does their best work surrounded by the element of our choice here. Fortunately, this is a rough stretch with all the shallow water. I'm gonna move a little bit slow. Apologies for hitting the mic. Moving a little bit slow though, and don't have just a single monster hitting us during those turns either here. Let's take a couple steps and see how she goes. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of what we were expecting, but we're back on solid ground. The Komodo dragons are unfortunately a little bit too fast. Need to be dealt with here in one way or another. Have blink scrolls available, so let's make sure that we don't find ourselves dying, which I guess could happen with bites at the time, or at the moment I should say. So we could reach into our bag of tricks and pull out that right off the bat here. We can even just get some distance. We can probably kill the Komodo dragons, which is the unfortunate part. Probably would have been an even better idea to reach into our bag and pull out a potion of haste earlier on in this, while we were running away even. Probably would have been a smart idea. I don't think we're leaving enemies behind us, but we can do a quick peek. Okay, never mind, that was a straight up lie. There may be Hydra behind us somewhere. That's not great, obviously. And we do not have Scrolls of Fear, because that was one of the panic buttons that would have made this a bit more straightforward. Pretty good odds of working on just the standard Komodo dragons here. They don't. I think I'd rather be safe. But it's also not necessary. Do what? I'm gonna potion of haste instead. We're gonna just start running away. Run away. I guess back to these stairs now that I think about it for a second. Let them get a step closer so that we can maybe pepper down some shots from afar while they approach. I guess even poison breath probably helps out a little bit in that regard. Okay. Me oh my. First near-death experience of the night here. Not too bad, of course. Not too horrible. Probably a little riskier at the end there than I would have liked. There was probably a decent chance that we just die there from 2 Komodo dragon attacks, but we didn't. So that's all that matters, right? Let's just thank our lucky stars. And we shall jump back down a different angle of attack here and try and split up this little party here. Perfect. As soon as you're next to me, let's take you into our territory upstairs where we have a lot more rock walls to deal with, which is exactly what we'd hope for, I should say. And there we go, 1 dragon down, just a few more to go, half dozen or so I'm guessing. Hopefully not too many more than that, even though I guess that's not even totally true, because it's not a bad thing to run into dragons as long as it's not all at one time. That's when things get a little too sketchy for my tastes. But man oh man, fighting just standard yaks with leech is so satisfying. Not feel endangered whatsoever in that fight, even though maybe should have to some extent, some degree. And there we go, we finally got a petrified chance to hit on a Hydra here. Didn't completely pay out, but how many heads am I gonna give this before it wakes up? Dang it. Too many was the answer. Yeah, you wrote too many, then congratulations, you got it correct. Oh gosh, it's healing up so fast too. Why do I do this to myself? Just constantly throwing myself into harm's way here. Well, you know what? We've cleared all this. Oops, have to take one extra step here, which I don't like. Yeah, that was absolutely horrendous. Liable to die at any time. I guess 180 damage before damage reduction is a bit wild. It's a bit wacky for sure. So this is most likely going to require a blink scroll now, and I've also given myself a 10-headed Hydra to deal with. Do I have blink in my starting handbook or in my spellbook here? I do. Should have learned this at some point. Very low memory point investment, but can be invaluable in this kind of nightmare situation. Okay. I'm really struggling right now because in my head I'm debating doing a big old pillar dance. I guess we can use the Shift X here. Big old pillar dance around this whole thing, hoping that we get a good set of random energies. The issue there is a bad set of energies just kills us, I think. At least has the potential to, and that I don't like. That's usually what we're trying to avoid for the most part in the game here. So let's maybe just play it safe. It hurts me to say it because I know I'm gonna want these blink scrolls in the future when we're actually in trouble. That's not just because I did something stupid, but it's a little more inherently dangerous of a situation, I guess. But that's fine. We'll use a scroll of blinking, take this opportunity as a lesson to ourselves to stop being quite so stupid. Head back upstairs, queue up another stairway here, and heal up as well. Okie dokie. I guess also, since I mentioned it, may as well learn blink. Have that in our list of tricks here in case it becomes relevant. There we go. Now that we're starting this fight anew here, I think Wand of Acid we've got to do to start just to get rid of all of its AC. Nice. And then, what is the most damage that we can cause this buddy? We could statue form, give us some chance at taking a couple hits. The only issue there is that running away becomes completely impossible at that point. Right now it's just scary and unlikely, but don't want it to become completely impossible now, do we? And I guess before the Hydra heals up too much, we just have to start hitting it with all we've got here. I am very concerned. Jeez, almost caught you fly. About taking even one turn, but we're pretty dang close. Working our way through this fight by brute force. Let's do a blink. Take us away. There we go. Get some distance. One more LRD did. Torn Between Dozen did do the trick there, but we didn't know for sure if that was going to be the case. I was okay playing that a little bit safe. And then I just realized I should do a bit of a loop around all this explored area, because I don't know where the dragons all ended up. Apparently nowhere. Did they actually all go home in the end? Okay, because that could have been bad. Running into those buddies had an unfortunate time, as it were. But all is well that ends well, and let us just continue on now, trying not to put ourselves into quite as dangerous of a situation as we have been over the last little bit here. No promises, of course. It's just how I play the game, apparently. There's a little bit of inherent stupidity that's kind of crucial to how I play, apparently. What's our chances of petrifying you? It's actually not horrible. Nice. Okay, so that should work. And I think I just stand here and fight then, because, well, he's turned to stone. We're just gonna slash away. Bada boom, bada bing. Wouldn't you have it? All wrapped up here at layer 6. Did end up using 1 scroll of blinking, which isn't great. Still disappointed in kicking myself for that one, but not the end of the world. And I'm pretty sure we can take an ice dragon. We pretty much just went through this in the last minute or so. Checking our resistances, we do not have any RC, but we do have a ring that can change that, so let us switch to that bad boy right away. Open the gates, and yeah, just start LRDing the rocks. I think this fight will go even smoother than the last. Maybe not. Turning into a bit more formidable of a foe than I expected. There we go. Ice Dragon down and a whole bunch of gold at our disposal. And that is lair. All finished and done. We can take another peek in at our skills, see how everything's progressing along. Long Blades is now so close to being at its desired point. Fighting is also getting up there nicely. Dodging just slowly but surely, but that's kind of what you get for not focusing, I guess. Makes sense. What was our goal for invocations? 12. Does that make sense? Yeah, actually probably is going to have to be even higher than that, but that should give us channel magic available nice and easily, which does actually make a spirit shield necklace very interesting. Because Sif Moona's channel magic ability then becomes both a way to refill our stores of casting spells, but also, in a weird way, a heal. So that's pretty cool. As long as it works out the way my brain wants it to, at the very least. Then that seems very potentially strong at the very least here. But okie dokie. You know what? I'll never be back to layer 6, so let's maybe snatch up these amnesia scrolls, and we'll leave them a little bit higher up just in case we want to grab them in the future. It'll be a bit of a shorter trip. In fact, let's just go to layer 1, back up to the tippy top. Oops, left a blink frog lying around. That's all right. Where's the nearest stair? Nearest stair is here, so this shall be my stash.